Welcome to the Sleep Sense Show. As always, brought to you by the Sleep Sense program, where podcast listeners can get a free customized sleep plan by going to www.sleepsense.net/listen.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. I get emails from parents all of the time telling me how hard they had to work to get their children to sleep well. And now that their children are sleeping so fabulously, they're petrified to take a holiday. I totally understand where parents are coming from. I know for myself, we have always traveled quite a bit, especially when the kids were little. We used to take them on fairly long, extended holidays overseas to escape cold Canadian winters. So I know firsthand what a challenge it can be to travel with children. It, for us, used to mean that we had to get suites or hotel rooms that had more than one room, or condos. We always had to be looking for accommodations that allowed for our children to be in their own bedroom, because they were so used to sleeping in their own space that I knew we needed to recreate that anywhere we went. And I love our guests today and their invention, because if I had had my hands on this SlumberPod when my kids were little, it really would have made traveling so much easier. There's a couple of things we know about sleep in general. One is that darkness is our friend when we want to sleep, and especially useful if we're traveling to different time zones. We really need to use darkness to help us get our body clocks back on track with the right time. And when you travel, that can be tricky, especially if you're staying with friends or family. You don't always have access to blackout blinds. And so getting your children to nap properly and go to sleep at bedtime can be super problematic. And then if you've got a little one, and I would say in the toddler phase, and they're used to sleeping in their own space, you really need to recreate some sort of own space scenario when you travel. I've recommended to people, hey, put them in a closet in the hotel room, or even in the bathroom, if the bathroom's big enough to accommodate your pack and play, because if they wake up in the middle of the night and they see their favorite people, it often means that they want to have a little playtime with you in the middle of the night. So that has always been my go-to suggestion is, build walls out of furniture and sheets in the hotel room, which is not always easy. And so Katy and Lou, who are a mother-daughter team, are here today to talk a little bit about their invention. The SlumberPod is one of my favorite sleep-related gadgets, or what would we call it? Necessities, really, for travel. It creates an own space environment for your baby. It just basically goes right over top of that pack and play. It's made out of blackout material, so it's nice and dark in there. It's breathable and safe. It's a great space for your child when you're traveling. So I hope you enjoy our interview today and hear the amazing story of both the invention and their journey into entrepreneurship. Hi, everybody. This is Dana, and welcome to the show. Today, I'm excited to talk to our guests. Katy and Lou are here from SlumberPod. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, awesome.
Thank you, Dana. Our pleasure.
I would love to, for those people listening who don't know what a SlumberPod is, maybe just take a couple of minutes and give everyone an overview of what the product is, and then we'll talk more about how you came up with this fabulous invention.
Sure. Well, since I'll tell the invention story most likely, I'm going to put Mom on the spot and ask her to talk about what it is.
Sure. So for the listeners, Katy and I are not in the same room. So we are going to have to take verbal cues on who's taking the lead. But SlumberPod is a portable privacy canopy that is perfect for situations like room sharing with a little one, or when nap time conditions aren't optimal, whether it's a lot of distractions in the room or too much light. It is blackout fabric and is really easy to travel with, weighs less than 6 pounds, fits in carry-on luggage, and we've been told it's a lifesaver for vacations and for room sharing.
All right. I love it. It's one of my favorite sleep products for sure. I think it's a really handy and necessary travel companion for any new parent. So I would love to hear,
Thank you, Dana.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur and a fellow entrepreneurs, I'm always really interested in sort of inception stories. So go back in time a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, and tell me what planted the seed for this idea for the two of you.
Of course. Well, necessity is often the mother of invention, and that is definitely the case here. This is Katy talking, and my husband and I, when our first daughter was about 1.5 years old, we were invited to go to my mom's house for Christmas. And we were really excited about that, so we packed up, a bazillion things and headed down, about 1.5 hours away for a 3-night trip. We were really excited about spending time together, continuing Christmas traditions, etc. But we ended up encountering some pretty significant sleep-related issues because we had to sleep in one room together, me, my husband, and my toddler, because all the other rooms were filled with other family members coming from a big family. So even though my daughter was an incredibly good sleeper at home, we'd had her on a schedule since almost day one, she really struggled sleeping in the same room with us because it wasn't pitch black dark in the room because floodlights were filtering in through the blinds, and because of the light in the room, she could see us sleeping just a few feet away. And with the age that she was, she didn't understand why Mom and Dad were right there and why it wasn't time to get up and start the day. So we would try and get her back in bed, but she wouldn't go back to sleep. And it was so miserable getting 2 or 3 hours worth of sleep a night that we ended up going home from that trip a day early, sleep deprived, angry with each other, and honestly frustrated with the entire situation. And my mom often picks up the story from here because she knew that she wouldn't want us all of her children, I'm the oldest, to have bad experiences, or else we might not come visit.
So I gave Katy a couple of days to cool off, and I called her and I said, there's got to be a solution out there. And she looked on the internet, I looked on the internet. We found a lot of do-it-yourself solutions, blog posts about the problem and all this stuff that you needed to take with you and get there 30 minutes in advance so you can duct tape sheets to the ceiling or whatever. And we couldn't find a real product that was for sale. So, Katy, what did we do then?
Yes, so I started traveling with a cheap pair of camera tripods and a sheet to string between them so that we made a temporary wall and our daughter couldn't see us in a hotel room or other similar situations. And that definitely helped, but it didn't completely solve the problem because we still had to tiptoe around. We couldn't have the lights on. We couldn't look at our cell phones unless we were hiding under the covers. And the room wasn't completely dark. So after doing that for a little while, we were traveling some more than we did before. And then fast forward about 1.5 years, my mom got laid off from her job, and I was about to deliver twin girls. And she said, Katy, I could go back to work, but it really feels like the right timing for me to help you, and I would love to help you. And her help was amazing with feeding, bathing, etc., those 2 new little babies while also having a toddler. But while we were together, we thought, like, you know what? If we're spending all this time together, we ought to get serious about inventing that solution. So we did. My mom joined an accelerator program in Columbus, Georgia, for young startups to get coaching and advice and to help us hit key milestones quickly. And we soaked up every bit of information we could by watching Shark Tank, other entrepreneur shows, talking to people who'd created baby products. And within a few months, we were pitching in front of a group of the public and potential investors in Columbus, Georgia, with our idea, which was SlumberPod, this portable privacy pod that helps babies sleep well while sharing a room.
That's awesome. I love it. I can remember we traveled a lot with our kids. We still do, but when they were little, I had to get fairly creative myself because sleep is like number one priority for me, that my kids continue to sleep well so that I continue to sleep well when we travel. And we went on a family holiday with good friends of ours who had she was about 1.5 at the time. And I said, where is she going to sleep tonight? And they said, oh, she's going to just sleep in the pack and play in our room. And I kind of chuckled to myself, and I said, I'm not sure that that's going to work very well. And I went into the explanation of, especially given her age, if she wakes up somewhere in the night and sees her 2 favorite people right next to her, it's going to be party time for a couple of hours. And they just sort of smiled and nodded and continued on with their evening. And I saw them both in the morning down at the pool, and I said, oh, how'd your night go? And they both looked pretty haggard and tired, and they said, well, we should have listened to you because exactly what you said happened. She was up at 3 playing peekaboo with us for the next 2.5 hours. And then she spent the rest of the trip in their bathroom, the ensuite bathroom in the pack and play. So they course corrected quickly, but wouldn't it have been, it would have been super handy to have something like the SlumberPod to travel with, because it does, especially with babies who are hitting that toddler phase. It's going to be a lifesaver for sure.
And a lot of people do end up resorting to that with the baby in the bathroom. Sorry, what were you going to say, Mom?
Yeah, and then I was going to say, and then once you put the baby in the bathroom, you can't use the bathroom.
That's right.
So if you have to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, what do you do then?
Exactly.
SlumberPod really does come to the rescue.
It really does. That's
and then
for sure.
You've got the people who are hiding in the bathroom during their baby's nap or as their baby's falling asleep, so then you're hostage. You're reading your cell phone under the covers. Perhaps you're paying a lot more money to rent an adjoining room or an Airbnb, or maybe even avoiding traveling altogether, which is what I wanted to do following that miserable Christmas trip.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I get emails from people all the time saying, I'm really worried now that we've got the baby on such a great sleep schedule. I'm super worried about this trip we have coming up. And I think, when I look back on my children's childhood, I think that they would agree that some of those highlights are those amazing trips we ended up taking together. So I don't want anyone to deprive themselves if they have the opportunity to travel. There's definitely ways in which we can make this doable with little ones.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's kind of go back and talk a little more about the evolution of SlumberPod. So you come up with this invention and you pitch it to some investors, and I'm guessing you got some pretty good response right out of the gate. What then happened? What's sort of the next point in the story for you guys?
Product development was really a big part of where we spent our time early on. The idea that we first had when I was in the accelerator group is much different than the SlumberPod we're selling today. Our idea needed some help. So we actually sought out a professional product development group in Atlanta called Creature Product Development. And we met with them, brainstormed with their team, came up with a lot of different ideas, honed it down to a couple. They actually made both of those ideas, and we continued to vet, what was working and what wasn't working, and came up with the design that we see today. It was a great exercise for us because what we first envisioned was something that popped up quickly and was, like, think about those things you put in your dashboard when it's hot outside that, it's hard to put them back in the container because you have to twist it. That was our original idea, but we found that idea really, for the size of what we needed, was unsafe because it popped open so fiercely. So we had to come up with a different design that satisfied the requirement of being easy to put together, but it wasn't pop-up. So with that professional help, we were able to come up with exactly what we needed, something that was portable, could fit into carry-on luggage, and easy, and blackout. So they were tremendously helpful. But I would say that was a big part of what we did early on, as well as the fabric selection. That was because that is the main point of SlumberPod, is for it to be dark out and breathable, and that's unique.
Definitely. Yeah, there's always...
To add on...
Yeah, go ahead, Katy.
Go ahead, Dana. I was going to say that as part of the development process, getting feedback from potential customers in the form of focus groups, and also loaning out our prototype to friends and family and even using it ourselves was a huge help. I mean, we knew we were onto something when we loaned a prototype to my sister, and then we used a few early prototypes with my twins. We were thinking we could never go back to not having these products afterwards. So that gave us a big boost of confidence.
That's great. And so, when you're starting a business and you have this little idea that's gaining traction in your mind, what did your friends and family think about this idea that you were both going to become inventors of a new product?
We had nothing but wonderful support. I would say that people were amazed that there wasn't already something, and like a lot of friends, families, and people in our network that we would talk to say, "This is brilliant. I can't believe that I didn't invent this. I needed this idea for so long with my with my older children." So I just feel like we were supported and loved through the whole thing. My husband gave up a dream of doing barbecue to help me, because he was doing that on the side and realized that what I was doing was really making traction. And he opted to help me instead of vice versa, which goes to show you
awesome.
The support we had. Yeah.
It's been fun, too, speaking of support, to see my kids get in on the action. So they will sometimes pretend Shark Tank, and one of them will pretend to be me, and one of them will pretend to be Mom. They also will do a little role-playing and say, like, "Hi, we sold on Amazon today. How about on Bye Bye Baby?" Mm-hmm. So that's been not only fun, but exciting to show them that you can go after your dreams.
Oh, that's so cool. And so the Shark Tank then experience, do you want to tell me a little more about that?
We realized about 5 months in, once we went from just selling on our website, we were on Amazon as well, and things were starting to take off. We realized that Shark Tank might be interested in us. So on a whim, we flew to Dallas for one of their very first casting calls for, was that 2018, Katy?
Yes, that would have been, no, I think it was 2019, February 2019.
2019. That's right. It was February, yeah. And had our 1 minute of fame in front of a couple of producers, and we, didn't know whether we'd hear back or not because the line was long in Dallas, and Dallas was just one of probably 15 or 20 casting call locations they had last year. Last year. So, but we made it. We did it. It was so
what a
much
fun
fun.
experience. Like, not just trying out and getting to show our personality and our product, but all the filming and preparing and getting hair and makeup and getting to stand there on the set. It was really a dream come true. We've watched every episode of Shark Tank since its inception, so 11 seasons.
Oh, wow.
And to think that we got to be there and stand in front of 5 of the most original sharks was really a tremendous pinch us type exciting experience. And to get to do it together as mom and daughter.
Yeah, that is really cool. And so then what happened to business after that experience?
When we announced that we were going on Shark Tank, our sales really took off. We were doing well, but the huge spike happened and really continued after the announcement in November.
It's crazy to think that when we went on the show, we had $500,000 in sales for the year, so that we recorded it in June. And then for the back half of the year, we ended up doing 3 times that much. Oh, wow. So we had a really solid first year, and we think that during that Shark Tank has continued to provide us a really great boost after that, because the episode appeared in early January of 2020.
That's great. And so tell me a little bit about how, if we were sort of to do a day in the life of, what does that look like for the two of you as far as running your business and managing your families?
Mom does the bulk of the work. I'm so incredibly fortunate, or we're so incredibly fortunate that she left her full-time job exactly a year ago to pursue this dream with SlumberPod. So she keeps a lot of the business and day-to-day running, as well as works with our customer service people.
But before I left my full-time job, Katy and I were both juggling starting this company, for years. And Katy had 3 little ones. It's amazing to me all that she was able to do. Plus, she went back to work after her maternity leave. So she has a full-time job, and she would just squeeze it all in. And we had weekly meetings, and we would have a checklist of things that we needed to do before we met the next time. And she is Wonder Woman. So, I hand it.
I think you're the Wonder Woman.
Well, we both are really passionate about helping other families. I have 6 children. Katy's the oldest of 6, and I can remember traveling with little ones, and it's just frustrating when you're all in 1 or 2 hotel rooms and babies are crying and nobody's happy. So knowing that we are making people's vacations and sleep in general better, and making less stress for people is a lot of motivation. We honestly get feedback every day from customers, but sometimes the feedback makes me cry.
Aww.
That, this has really changed our life. You do not know what you've done for our family. And, it just makes it all worth it.
That's awesome.
You're
I
right.
love to hear that.
The reviews on Amazon and on our website, I think Amazon pulls out the keywords that are in a lot of reviews, and lifesaver, game changer, marriage saver, must have, always pop up in there, and it makes us so happy to know that we're helping people, to my mom's point.
That's so great. And, I think I would love to see, this might be something awesome for daycares. I get a lot of complaints from parents telling me that, our baby's sleeping great at home, but now she's got to go off to daycare and all these babies are sleeping in the same room, in a brightly lit room. Wouldn't that be great to have everybody in their own little pod?
We actually just had a religious organization, a church specifically in Nashville, purchase. I think they have, was it 9 SlumberPods, Mom? Because they saw that they were getting more and more complaints isn't the right word, but feedback from young families saying we'd love to come to church, but the hours just don't go well with our children's nap schedule. So because my sister used to go to that church before she moved, she suggested they get a few SlumberPods. So initially they bought 4 or 5, and they've expanded that number, and now they are full almost every Sunday. Oh, wow, 15. And they're full almost every Sunday, or at least pre-virus they were. So absolutely they help with providing that dark and private sleep environment, even when you're in a bright room or a crowded room. Well,
absolutely. There you go. You go pitch it to the biggest daycares you can find, and they'll probably buy some. Awesome. Well,
we've even had people set them up at like in an airport or at a gymnastics meet, because, like you said, sleep is critical, and a lot of people are just not willing to compromise on schedules. So we allow them that flexibility.
Mm-hmm. I love it. That's super. It's such a great invention, such a necessary travel companion. If you've got your pack and play, this is a must-have add-on to that package, where you can at least provide your baby with a little bit of privacy, and that darkness that's so important, plays such a significant role in all of our sleep cycles, but certainly for babies it's a necessity. So why don't you, if you could give some advice, we might have some entrepreneurs listening in the audience, or moms out there who have this little voice inside their head telling them that this next product is something that they should think about creating. What's your sort of best tips to anyone who's thinking about inventing a product for children?
I'd say start by asking people who have invented children's products if they will get 30 minutes on the phone with you, and of course follow up with a thank you message and all those things. But there's no better way to learn, in our opinion, than from people who've been through it. So if you don't know anybody who's invented a children's product directly, then ask your network if they know somebody who has, because we've been introduced to a ton of people through friends of friends, and almost everyone was gracious enough to give us 45 minutes or an hour on the phone to talk about their experiences, to share what they're glad they did, what they wish they would have done differently, marketing strategies, etc., so that we could truly understand how we could get this going and keep from making, or I should say, make fewer mistakes or learning experiences as possible.
And Lou, did you add to that?
Program.
I do think that there are a lot more resources now than ever before. A lot of communities have the accelerator group, so look for a group in your town that helps with startups. And if you don't have one, there may be some online resources, but now more than ever, I feel like the pendulum is shifting a little bit and supporting people with starting a small business and building on an idea that they have.
Awesome.
I truly feel like that accelerator program is what got us in gear. My mom went to 2 classes or meetups a week where we had really specific milestones we had to meet, like get together your provisional patent or come up with a name, get your 1-page business plan on a page together, figure out your marketing strategy. And I think we could have done all those things, but it may have taken us a year plus. So that really lit a fire under us, or else we could have dragged all those things on for months and months and months.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I think there's so many people out there who say, oh, I had this great idea, right? And then 10 years later, they're like, they see it on the market and think, oh gosh, that was my idea, right? There's tons of wannabe or dreampreneurs out there who have these great ideas and then don't take the action to actually see it come to light. So that's great advice. I definitely agree with you. When I started my business, I did what I like to call beg, borrow, and steal. I looked in my community for anybody who had knowledge in marketing or I mean, there's when you're an entrepreneur, you have to now do all of it, right? Marketing, you've got to be put a business plan together. You've got to think about advertising. I mean, there's just you name it, you've got to learn about it. So finding people that already know it and, asking them to share their expertise with you. Most people are pretty gracious about that, and they'll help you if they can. So all you can do is ask and see what people are willing to help you out with. So I love that you had this passion and this fire, and you went ahead and made it a reality. That's just really fabulous to see, and it's such a really important product. I love it. I know a lot of my Sleep Sense consultants suggest it all the time to their clients who are traveling. So thank you for creating it and for making such a fabulous product. And is there anything you gals want to say before we say goodbye today?
It's a pleasure to get to know you and the other people in the sleep consulting space. That's one of the, I guess, sidebar blessings from all of this, or the new network that we have because of what we're involved in. And all the help that you all do is so appreciated. And I also love that we are concentrating on sleep now, where back in the day that it wasn't even a thing to know about how to get your child to sleep better. So we've come a long way, and we're so thankful for the tools and the advice and everything to make life better.
I think my parting words are that we, especially women, have a tendency to doubt ourselves, or how good of a job we're doing, whether that's as moms or as entrepreneurs or as employees. And we really need to give ourselves more credit for all the things that we're juggling and how many people we're helping, whether that's our family members or our colleagues or our clients, and recognize and appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm super excited that people are learning more about sleep, like you said, Lou, that they're realizing that it's beneficial for the entire family if children are on a great sleep schedule, and the SlumberPod makes that possible to hang on to when you travel. So thank you so much, ladies, for being here with me today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to jump on this call.
Thank you for
having us, Dana.
My pleasure.
Bye, Dana.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening today. As always, please sleep well.
Thanks so much for listening. For more great tips on helping your child sleep through the night, remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes or Stitcher, and never miss an episode.